Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the June 21st, 2016 work session of the Town Board of the Town of Ossining. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just a few announcements before we go into the work session. Some exciting events that we have coming up this week. There's always so many innovative and interesting things going on here in Ossining, so it's hard to choose just a few to highlight. And if you're watching this on a recording right now, I can guess that instead of attending our meeting, you may have attended the Make Music Ossining Briarcliff event in front of the 6 Degrees of Separation Brewery, where Robert Stava is playing an acoustic set from 6:30 until 8 p.m. tonight. Hope you're having a good time, or you had a good time if you're watching this recording. Today's a big day here at 16 Croton Avenue. It's Grievance Day, and our halls are lined with people who are grieving their tax assessment. Today is the last chance to grieve your property assessment for the 2016 roll. Town Assessor Fernando Gonzalez and his staff are hard at work upstairs in our conference room, getting everything in order for the Board of Assessment Review to begin their work, and I want to thank his office staff as well as the board for their service to our community. Serving on boards can be extremely fulfilling, but it is also a lot of long hours, and we are very appreciative of all who take time from their busy schedules to volunteer for the public good. To that point, I would also like to announce that we are seeking applications for a member of the Environmental Advisory Committee to fill an unexpired term. If you live in the unincorporated area of the town and are interested in contributing your knowledge of environmental issues, please send a resume and a letter of interest to Maddie Zahach in my office. We will post additional information on the town's website about this opportunity as well. I was lucky enough to attend last night's annual meeting of the Ossining Public Library, and I'm excited to announce that our library has been named the Best in Westchester by Westchester Magazine for 2016. The library is truly a gem at the heart of the Ossining community, and this is a well-deserved honor for the staff and volunteers there. This Thursday at 11 a.m., the Village of Ossining will host the ribbon cutting and dedication of Henry Gourdine Park at Harbor Square to honor a gentleman who was called a Hudson River legend and a state treasure by the New York Times and former New York State Governor Pataki, respectfully, for his years of shad fishing, net fixing, and teaching and paying forward his love of our river and all its treasures. I'm sure that anyone who has been eagerly watching Gourdine Park develop over the past year will share my excitement about seeing it come to life this week. A jazz series is also scheduled for several dates this summer at Gourdine Park, and we are so excited to have this beautiful space open for the public for programming and recreation. It will also be available this year for our fireworks, which I will come to shortly. This coming Saturday is Ossining's 9th annual Relay for Life event at Ann M. Dorner Middle School. The town and village have joined together to form Dodge Against Cancer team, the team Dodge Against Cancer, in honor of our friend and former town supervisor, Martha Dodge, who we lost too soon to cancer. It's not too late to join us. The event starts at 7 p.m. this Saturday night, and I can tell you from experience that it is truly a moving experience. I do hope you're able to join us that evening. Also starting this weekend, the Spray Park at Louis Engle Park Waterfront Park will be open daily between 12 noon and 6 p.m., weather permitting. Come down and join and cool off this weekend and join us. Both days are expected to be in the 80s and sunny, which is perfect weather for splashing. One of our most anticipated events of the summer is the Independence Day fireworks on Thursday, June 30th this year, right before our holiday weekend. As every year, we are expecting a great turnout for the fireworks display, which will begin before the fireworks go off with a performance by KJ Denner and her band at 7 p.m., followed by the fireworks starting at 9:15, and then a performance by Powderfinger after that, well into the night. And of course, we'll have delicious food trucks. So come hungry, come with your picnic stuff, and plan to be entertained all night. We're hard at work putting together posters for our summer concert series, which will take place at the waterfront every Friday evening throughout the summer. Keep your eyes peeled for these posters around town. Meanwhile, make sure to mark your calendars for July 8th, Breakfast for the Boys, July 15th, Soul Project, and July 22nd, Sundab. All concerts start at 7 p.m. at Lewis Angle Park, so bring a picnic basket and make a night of it while watching a beautiful sunset. Our agenda tonight is fairly short. Our receiver of taxes, Gloria Freed, will be starting us off with a presentation about how residents can help with tax delinquencies. She will then be joined by Veronica Raphael from Westchester Residential Opportunities, who will share some information about how WRO can help struggling homeowners with counseling and exemptions. And she will give us some information on a new grant program that can assist taxpayers who are having trouble making mortgage payments. Gloria will finish with a short presentation on the foreclosure process in Ossining, and will be speaking with the board about scheduling this summer's foreclosure auction. The next item on our agenda is a proposal from our Labor Council, Bond, Shenick, and King, to do a review and rewrite of some of the town's policies, which it is high time for, and compile a town policy handbook. Finally, we will quickly review the meeting schedule for the town board for the coming months. And we're looking to cancel a few of the work sessions during July and August, as many towns do for summer months. Before we begin, I want to remind everyone that tomorrow night, Wednesday, June 22nd, the Town Planning Board will be holding a public scoping session for the River Knoll project on Croton Dam Road, a residential development that has been proposed for the Stony Lodge Hospital, the old Stony Lodge Hospital site. The meeting will be held at the Community Center at 7:30 p.m. Again, that's tomorrow, June 22nd. You can find the scoping document as well as the most recent site plan on the town website on the planning project page. That's a tongue twister. We also want to remind everyone who doesn't get our email blasts that tomorrow, June 22nd, Spring Valley Road will be closed at the town line between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. The town of Newcastle will be doing some drainage repair work dating back to Hurricane Sandy, and will be reclaiming and repaving the road later this summer. If you're used to using Spring Valley Road to reach Hawks Avenue, we recommend that you take 9A, one exit north to the old Albany Post Road exit, turn right onto Old Albany Post Road to Quaker Bridge Road, and make a right onto Glendale. If nothing else, it will help you get a glimpse of a part of the town you don't usually travel. Without further ado, unless there are any other announcements that any of my colleagues would like to make, does anybody have anything?
I just want to congratulate you.
I just want to congratulate our fire department on their best overall win in Lake George last weekend.
Congratulations.
Way to go, guys.
Wow.
Fantastic. It's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And also, thanks to Maddie Zahaj, who is on our library board, for the kudos to the libraries we mentioned before. Anybody else have anything?
And she's getting some microphones there too, huh?
That's the plan.
All right.
More on that another day.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so without further ado, I think we're going to ask our tax receiver, Lori Freed, to make a presentation to us on delinquent taxes, foreclosure process, and the 2016 auction. And I think I'm gonna slide, are we gonna be using this?
Yes.
The ribbon cutting is
Thursday morning.
Thursday at 11.
This Thursday?
This Thursday at 11. Okay?
Here.
Just ready to slide. Great, thank you.
Just Veronica wants, do you want to sit up here at one of these? Good evening. I want to thank the board and the supervisor for this opportunity to discuss how to make taxes less taxing. With the Westchester Residential Opportunities and I presented a program at the public library during May. And at that time, we received a lot of comments from people who couldn't come during the afternoon. And so by doing this again tonight, we're hoping that we can reach people who could see the program on the YouTube channel or stream it live, or people who normally watch the board meetings, at least they could pass the word on. So I'd like to introduce Veronica Raphael from Westchester Residential Opportunities.
Good evening. Thank you for having me tonight.
What I'd like to do is do an overview of the tax process and what happens with delinquencies. so that you understand that this isn't something that just happens overnight. It's a 4-year process. First of all, we do some things in the tax office to try to make taxes easier. Maybe could we dim the lights that are just above,
Just a day or something.
just the ones, no, not those over there. The ones right above the screen.
Yes, and both of those, yeah.
There it is. Oh, that's easier. Okay. First of all, just to help people remember, just the simple things. We do have email reminders, and this is something that I instituted back in the early 2000s, and it's so that we could help people remember or even know when bills are sent. So email reminders are something that you can sign up for. Oops, this way. And you do that on the receiver's web page. On the same page, we also have web payments where you can get an accurate reading on the amount of your unpaid bill to include the penalties, because that's available 24/7, 365, and it's also on the receiver's web page. You can pay your bill. There is a $1.50 fee if you use the electronic check, and there is a 2.8% fee, which we don't get to keep, but the credit card companies demand if you want to use a credit card. And another service that we do is we will hold your post-dated checks so that you can have last day service. Now, some people like to have same day service, but last day service means that we will take your payment, hold your check until the last day of the month, and we just have to have a note so that we know that why we're holding your check. If it comes through without a note, we sometimes don't catch it. We get 10,000 payments, and it might get deposited in advance. So you sign up for these things on the tax receiver's webpage. If you go to the main page, down the left is the departments, town departments, and you click on the link to the receiver of taxes page, and here's an abridged version without the photos of the town, but this is an abridged version of the receiver's page. And you can see 2 boxes that are outlined in red, but they're kind of a pale blue color. One is to sign up for email reminders, and the other is to pay your taxes online. If this is to pay your taxes here, you click on this link, and this is for reminders and alerts. Now, last day payments, I just wanted to explain that it's very difficult for us to take your payment and hold it for a specific day in the month. If you ask us to hold it, we're going to hold it for the last day. Please don't ask us to hold it for the 17th. We're not going to be able to do that. We need a note telling us that you want it held, and you can either mail it to us or come in early in the month. It's better parking early in the month. At the end of the month, it's pretty jammed here. Now, foreclosures. Foreclosures are not something that happens overnight. In order for this to happen, there's at least a 3 to 4 year period before we're going to be auctioning a house. But why even do a foreclosure? There are some towns that don't do them. I'd like to point out Greenberg. It's been in the news. Greenberg hasn't done foreclosures in a long time. They have so much money outstanding in debt. Now, if you take the town's budget and you figure that you could have 7 times your budget in uncollected taxes, you're in deep trouble if that happens. So in Greenberg, they're doing a foreclosure auction right now, and the amount of outstanding debt is more than $7 million. In Ossining, it's $400,000. We do a foreclosure every year. Now, why do you need to do that? In Westchester County, we're different than the rest of the state. In the rest of the state, towns collect, and then they take their unpaids, they report them to the county, and then the county is the enforcement officer for delinquent taxes. Westchester has its own tax act. So the town pays the county the full amount of the tax warrant, and the town pays the school districts the full amount of the school tax warrants. This means that even if we don't collect the money, we still have to give them the full amount of the money that they've requested in the warrant. A warrant is an authorization to collect. I can't collect anything without a warrant. So once I have this warrant to collect, the town is obligated to pay the full amount. And if we don't collect it, the town holds the debt. So there's a real importance to having the annual foreclosure. First of all, the town can't keep holding year after year the debt. Let's say we don't collect $1 million of the school's debt. If we don't pursue that and send out delinquent letters and collect these delinquencies, then the town will keep getting deeper and deeper in debt, as well as the taxpayer. The taxpayer will end up owing more and more and more. And it's really easier to get out of a shallow hole than a deep one. So once the taxpayer owes 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, then it's going to be harder. And on some of these properties in Greenberg, the houses are actually underwater. Maybe not just the mortgage, but also in the amount of tax that's owed. And you can't have that situation and never expect to have the town have a healthy fiscal health. So it's more equitable to all taxpayers, and it's fairer to all if we treat everybody equitably, follow the same laws, and run the foreclosures every year. And that way there are fewer and fewer properties involved. I like to think of my delinquent taxes kind of like high school in a way, in that you have all of these taxes from a specific year in a class together. And you could think of them in terms of longevity. So your freshman class at the top there, these are tax year 2016. That's the current year. The lien year for those taxes isn't until 2017. And the process for them is that we're going to collect the current year's delinquent town, county, and school tax. How many bills are delinquent? Well, you know that when a bill comes out, we have that big crush and people paying, and roughly 95% do pay on time. But there are 500 bills or so because we have 10,200 parcels, and roughly 500 bills after each major collection are delinquent. Now, you would say 1,000, except that with the school having 2 halves, you're going to have 500 after the first half, and then you start collecting, and then you get another 500 or more after the second half. They are the same bills, because if they're delinquent in the first half, they're delinquent in the second half. But you might have a number that are delinquent in the second half, but they paid the first half. So it could be more than 500 school bills. Your sophomore class, that's tax year 2015 right now. And right now, I have 117 properties that have not paid bills from 2015. These are town, county, and school tax bills. And in July, at the end of this month actually, and then filing in July, we will roll them together into a lien and file them on a list of delinquent taxes with the county. The next level, those are bills from tax year 2014. That's the junior class. They're 2014 bills. They were rolled over into liens in 2015. This year, I'll get a title search this summer that's coming right up, and we'll start of the foreclosure. There's only 29 properties left. But a special category of those bills are the people who have applied for a payment plan. I like to think of those as special cases like tutoring. You're doing a one-on-one with them. And these people come in and pay their taxes, the delinquent tax in installment. And in order for that to happen, they have to have a delinquent lien and be facing foreclosure. The senior
Penalties
class,
also, right?
I'm sorry,
Delinquent tax.
they're paying, when they have a payment plan, they have to make a down payment of 25% of the delinquent amount due. It's lumped together, but they're still paying every penalty as it accrues, and they're making equal installments, but they can, if they wish, pay in advance. Some people use this as a way to get by until they sell their home. Others use it as a way to catch up when they've had a job loss. And the payment plans are governed by town code and state law. Okay, and then the senior class. These are the properties that have liens right now from 2012 or 13. The tax years 2012 or 13. The liens are from 13 and 14, and we will auction these properties. They've already got a foreclosure judgment, and there are 7 of them. 3 from 2013, 4 from 2014. So you could see, if the tax year was 2012 or 13, and we're now in 16, there are delinquent taxes on those properties from 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, or it's 5 years or 4 years. So this isn't a process that happens overnight. And by the time this occurs and we have a foreclosure, they've gotten something like 37 letters from me. They've gotten letters from the attorneys. They've gotten letters from many different places informing them of the foreclosure. It shouldn't be a surprise. Now, in order to explain how the process works, I thought I'd take one of those 2013 tax bills and show how that property is now in the auction stage. So in April of 2013, we had a town-county bill. It was due April 30th of 2013. In September, it was joined by a school tax bill. The first half due date was September 30th. Second half was the following January. But in October, on October 15th of 2013, the town had to pay the county the full warrant for that bill, those bills. And on April 5th of 2014, after the second half was due, the town had to pay both school districts their full warrants. So right now, the town is out the money. By April 2014, the town has paid both other entities the full amount of taxes, and we're holding the debt on those 2 bills for that property. In June, we rolled over the delinquent taxes, town, county, and school. At the end of the month, combined it into one lien, and in July, the liens were filed in Westchester County on the town of Ossining 2014 list of delinquent taxes. And they still have a full year to pay that, because you don't foreclose on the lien. They have actually 21 months from the last delinquent date, which would be from September of 13. They have 21 months to still pay. So even though this has a lien and it's filed with the county, there is a full year before we start a foreclosure proceeding. Those are the sophomores that we're still collecting from before we move them into the foreclosure stage, the junior year. Now, state law says that you can pay that delinquent lien, however, all delinquent liens and taxes have to be paid in reverse chronological order, with the most recent one first. So that means that before you can pay that delinquent lien, you have to pay the current year's town county. And if the school bill is out, you have to pay that one too. This is a list or a chart of the lien conversions from 2006 taxes through 2014 taxes. So the 2006 taxes became the 2007 liens. It's by the conversion date. And the 2014 taxes became the 2015 liens. We still haven't filed, we'll do that next month, the 2015 taxes. But what I'd like to point out here is that through foreclosure or auction, we have collected 100% of all of those up through the July 2012 conversions into liens. We have left 3 2013 liens representing the 3 properties that we have judgments on that we need to auction. And for the 2014 liens, we have there's 7 liens for 2014. The 3 from the 2013 judgment also have 2014 liens. And we have the 4 properties with 2014 judgments that have to be auctioned. So there are 7 properties. Those, once they're auctioned, the only thing we'll have left are the 2015 year liens from July 2015. There's 29 of them right now, and we will be starting that foreclosure with title searches at the end of this month. So our collection rate is 94.89% right now. The current unpaids is 401,000, that's where I got that number before, out of the lien total at conversion was over almost $8 million. But you could see that we've gotten more than $7.5 million in from those liens over the last 9 years. Are there any questions on that? I know that's a lot of information. We did have 94 State Street, you see that note there, written off by town board resolution. That's because that property had a fire and burned before we auctioned it, and we could not collect the full amount of money that was due. And another thing to note is that when we do an auction, we're also collecting on behalf of the village taxes that are outstanding on any of those properties. Because we have an agreement, they've entered, either village, they've entered answers in court to the foreclosure to preserve their taxes and liens. Are there any questions? So back to the junior year. We've already filed, we've waited another year, and now in July 2015, we're ordering the title searches for the 2014 liens. Just as this year, we will order the title searches within a week or two for the 2015 liens. It's kind of, you always have 4 years open at the same time. And summer, when some people think, oh, summer, you don't have anything to do. Summer is exceptionally busy and stressful because that's when we do enforcement. And this is the enforcement piece. The receiver of taxes may also be appointed enforcement officer, and I was by the board in 2002. So that's where all of this work comes in. In September, our attorney, in August, we give everything to the attorney. They go through and they make a list of all of the properties and all of the, in the title searches, all of the people that have a financial interest in the properties. And when they file the foreclosure, they have to notify everybody who has a financial interest in a property and send them the paperwork. So it's a lot of work on their part to put together the list and make sure that everybody is notified. February 2016, February 5th was the last day to redeem, and we got judgments in March. Now, I'm here before the board with the information required to get a board resolution to have an auction on those properties. And that's what we did this month. I want to thank my staff. My deputy Julie Davis is here, and she was very helpful in determining minimum bid prices. We had to cover both the town and village tax burdens as well as a fee to cover the costs of the auction. And we will be requesting a town board resolution to hold the auction, setting a date in early August. I think August 10th, the Wednesday, is the date that we've settled on. This just gives you a picture of what it looks like. These are the liens. You could see the amounts over the last, from 2007. There's nothing prior to that. And the ones in red that are unpaid, those are the ones that we need to auction. The ones in blue are the ones that we are preparing to foreclose on with the title searches. And what's not on there is the lien rollover for next month. When we do the lien rollover, they will be added on there. And as I said, at this point, we have 117 that have not paid, but we're hopeful that before we do that, it always comes in the end of June. We might get more. And one of the ones, those 10 properties that were in our foreclosure on Thornton Hill, those are 10 of the 117. And I've emailed things out, and I'm hopeful to get that money in to avoid liens on them. So, how to avoid foreclosure? What are some steps you could take? Well, the letters went out from our attorney last week advising people of the foreclosure, the 29 properties, and they went out to those 29, advising them to contact my office to make arrangements to pay. We can discuss payment plans. And the other thing is that I would like people to call me. I can't help you if you don't call me. That's also for our video audience. We can't help you if we don't know who you are, you don't come forward, and we could discuss ways to help you get through this. But one of the groups that has really been instrumental is WRO, Westchester Residential Opportunities. In the letter that our attorney mailed out last week was also a flyer advising people on how to contact Westchester Residential Opportunities. So now I'd like to introduce again Veronica Raphael.
Well, thank you and good evening, everyone.
Oh, sure.
I have a PowerPoint presentation which will identify some of the programs that our office provides, and then we'll get to the crust of what, how we can help homeowners that are facing foreclosure due to property taxes.
Over to you. all the way to the bottom.
Okay. Oops.
It's upper left.
From
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah, there we go, okay. All right, so I'm from Westchester Residential Opportunities, Inc. I'm the Director of Foreclosure Prevention for WRO. Who we are, our mission statement, WRO promotes equal, affordable, and accessible housing opportunities for all residents in our region. We started the organization in 1968, where there were discrimination and housing issues in Westchester County. We have evolved, and we're now including other services which we will continue to review now. Our first-time home buying program. We are a HUD-approved housing counseling agency. We also provide housing financial assistance for homeowners that are looking for a down payment assistance. Qualifying factors are on our website, and the director of that program for more details and when our next classes begin is at the bottom of the page, Nicole Burton. She's on extension 3003. Independent Living Program. This program assists psychologically disabled people with housing issues. We also provide housing for quite a few individuals with Section 8 vouchers. They could live just about anywhere, and we subsidize their rents. It's a comprehensive program. We have 24-hour social service providers and case management provides services to the clients. Make sure that they are on their meds, get to work, school, whatever their livelihoods are. Our Fair Housing and Fair Lending program. That's exactly why WRO was founded, to stop housing discrimination. We do investigations, we negotiate and mediate between landlords, we receive complaints, and we even do secret fair housing testing. So it is a rewarding program that the agency has secured thousands of dollars for homeowners that, or even tenants that were looking for apartments and was turned down due to one of the fair housing issues. WRO also helps with the Human Rights Commissions in New York State, and the Department of HUD actually will help investigate if they find some discrimination that has taken place. The director of the program and the secret fair housing testers' names and information are also included on this page. Senior housing. I know this is something that Gloria Freed and our office has worked on together, trying to assist homeowners with housing issues. We just started the reverse mortgage counseling, which is required before a loan can be approved. We also provide any type of counseling that for homeowners that are 60 years and over. So we have senior housing list of apartments that are all across Westchester County, and we're trying to provide as much information to the potential homeowner, depending on the type of senior problem that they're having.
You produce a new list every week, is that right?
Well, for the senior housing, it's one comprehensive list. As the new developments appear, we add that to the list. But if they contact John's extension, they can be sent that list. The waiting list on the majority of them are 3 years. So if you anticipate leaving your home and want to join one of the senior housing programs, you need to contact our office immediately and look at the list to see where you'd like to live. General housing, this is a big one. We get calls all the time for eviction prevention, where we're able to give rent arrears and first month rent and security deposits. If you have a shut-off notice and you qualify, they will pay the shut-off amount, and these services are only provided to you once a year. So if you get any of the assistance, we will not be able to help you again for another year. If you're facing eviction, we can assist you there. We do require that you get denied from one of the social service agencies. So you do have to provide us with that information. And the social service agencies are also listed here. Mortgage default counseling, that's my area. Foreclosure prevention options. We assist with loan modification applications. We also assist with forbearance agreements. The loan modification program is for homeowners that are struggling, have some type of hardship. We're able to request from their bank or servicer a lower of their interest rate, which will decrease their mortgage payment. Forbearance agreement is usually for someone that is unemployed or has a temporary situation that is not, they're not able to afford to make a loan modification payment. They will give a forbearance, I kind of put it like a layaway. The homeowner may only pay a third of their mortgage payment for like 6 months. And we're hoping that in that period of time that the homeowner will actually get a better paying job, or their hardship has ended and they can now apply for a loan modification. Reinstatement of the loan, you may owe maybe $60,000, and you have saved over several months or maybe even years, and now you have enough to request a reinstatement. That means you're paying the full delinquent balance, the amount of the penalties, and attorney fees. Short sale, that's when your property is underwater. You may owe $500,000, but your property is only worth $400,000. The bank has to approve the short sale for $400,000 or less, because that's how much you owe. You cannot go out and sell the property on your own if it's underwater. If your property is worth $500,000 and you owe $200,000, you have equity in the property and you can sell it on a market rate sale. Deed in lieu. You're giving the property back voluntarily. You're handing over the deed. You have to do as much paperwork as a loan modification to show that you no longer can afford to make your mortgage payments. And it could be, you know, your husband passed away and he was the breadwinner and you had no sources of income. Well, that's a very serious and severe hardship. And your hardship has to be pretty severe, that you can prove that you no longer can afford to keep the property. This is a way to remove the foreclosure from your credit history. Bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is Chapter 13, Chapter 7. I mean, the liquidation of the property, that means that you have to give the property up, but it does stay the foreclosure action. Chapter 13 is when you're able to pay a trustee of the bankruptcy court the mortgage payment, maybe a reduced amount, or your credit cards and so on. We also appear in foreclosure conferences at the county courthouse. That means that you have an opportunity to go to court after you have been provided a foreclosure summons and complaint. It means that now you have an opportunity to tell the court why you are in foreclosure and what you're doing to try and stop the foreclosure action. Mortgage assistance program. Gloria said that we had a program that would assist homeowners that were facing foreclosure due to property tax arrears, maintenance arrears, condo fees, and reverse mortgage fees, and maybe, in some cases, if you are, want to reinstate your mortgage. Mortgage Assistance Program, short name is MAP. It's through the New York State Mortgage Assistance Program from the New York Attorney General's office. The first phase, Westchester Residential Opportunity assisted with the program, and we were able to help homeowners receive over $578,000 to reinstate their mortgage, to reinstate their property taxes, to reinstate their reverse mortgage. And sometimes reverse mortgages, the mortgage company is actually charging you for the taxes that they pay. So they tack it onto your reverse mortgage. And we were able to pay those fees and the taxes for those homeowners. It's up to $40,000. The New York Attorney General, Eric Schneiderman, did make the announcement in May, but the application process has not begun. We are hoping that the program will be initiated soon. In the meantime, you can contact our office to get on our waiting list. So again, it's up to $40,000. So if you owe $28,000, then you could see if you qualify based on their qualifying factors. I can't exactly say what those are because they haven't given them to us yet. So for instance, if you owe $50,000, you pay the 10, MAP will pay the 40 if you qualify. If there's any questions, I can answer them now from the panel.
Do they have to pay that back?
Good question. No, well, yes, I should say yes. It's a soft lien on the property, and you pay it back only if you refinance over the life of the loan or you sell your property. If at the time that you sell or refinance, you don't have enough equity to pay it off, you can request a waiver. So that's the bottom line. So there's no more monthly payments. You have a closing in our office, and you're done.
Are there income restrictions or yeah? Okay, we can ask questions.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for that presentation. Very well.
Yes.
Can I complete now then?
She's not, oh, you're not done?
No, I just wanted to, well, first of all, I just wanted to say that the information on the MAP program went out in the letter that our attorney sent. However, it's open to anybody, not just those facing foreclosure right now. So I wanted to encourage people to contact WRO. The last thing I just wanted to do was to call your attention to the properties and the minimum bid prices for the auction. The date for the auction,
We just have, you don't want us to just ask questions first before we get to the.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We just want to ask
Oh, I'm sorry.
follow-up questions.
I thought we were moving to the next, okay.
Okay?
Mhm.
Can you just have the two little ones, the mini ones?
Yeah, we're done.
Thanks, okay. I just had a question about the $40,000 for the help with the mortgage.
Yes.
Right? Are there income qualifications and/or?
She said there are qualifications she can't tell you yet because they haven't come down from the state.
But
I can tell you what
know
the-
what there has been in the past, right?
Right.
So it changes every year?
I call it phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1, the requirements is that you could not have more than 40% of your income going towards all your household debt. That would include whatever your mortgage payment, and your credit cards, your car payment, all of your household debt, your utilities. We literally, within 24 hours, can tell you if you qualify or not, based on the financial statements that you provide to us.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
And you said at this point you're taking, you can get on the waiting list
Yes.
for that, but, so every year there's a budget for that, is that true, or?
No, because of the settlements that the New York Attorney General has been able to obtain from all the large servicers, he has put this money back into the community. The first phase was 18 million.
Mhm.
This phase is 100 million, and this comes from the Goldman Sachs settlement.
But I'm saying, for example, the 18 million, I'm guessing that was used up, so that's why you're saying there's a waiting list, because that's already been spent.
Oh yes, that was spent, and the program ended September 30th, 2015.
Right, okay, so now this 100 million that's come through, you haven't started accepting applications yet for this new
Correct.
round,
Correct. We're only allowed to put them on a waiting list.
right?
So once the application is released, we can send them out to the homeowners on the waiting list.
And has that timing been announced at all, or do you have any sense of it?
Not at all. And I did check it this morning before coming here to find out if they had an update, and they said no, they had no new news.
I guess I had a question about, a lot of this is about mortgages and assistance with foreclosure and all that, but with respect to back to the senior housing and affordable, I'm sorry?
And the rentals or?
Rentals,
Yeah.
yeah. So I just had some questions about, so if there are people who are looking for information on affordable housing, with or without Section 8, would you guys have a resource of a list of available that exists, and then as new housing comes on that's affordable, you have that information as well?
Yes, we encourage people to visit the Westchester County website, but we do keep a list of all the available, or not really just available, but we keep a list of all the senior housing that is, I hate to say available because, there are 3-year waiting lists on
I was
these.
gonna say, and that's for the senior housing, so,
Yes.
and what about those who are not seniors who are?
Sure, we have an apartment listing that we review once a week. Every Wednesday we update it. We take all the newspapers in Westchester County and we compile that list. So for every city, every town, you have a contact information, how much the rent is, if they accept pets, if they accept Section 8, if there's any restrictions, then they're on that list. So they can contact our office at 914-428-4507, extension 301, for a copy every Thursday through Wednesday.
I appreciate that. Can I just ask you a general question? What is the state of affordable housing in Westchester at this time?
It's well needed. We are, I'm not able to give as much information as I would like on the topic, but our Fair Housing Department would be able to fill you in on what's going on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else have questions for Veronica? Then I'll let tax receiver finish up.
Okay.
Or we go back to here and we're done?
No, that's all done.
Okay.
Except that,
Oh,
those are exemptions that
oh,
people apply for, but the reason why that's on there is because WRO does do counseling on that too.
okay. So just if you can't see it, veterans, senior citizens, star exemptions,
New Star
new
exemptions.
star exemptions.
And I have the phone number of the assessor's office.
Which is
So-
7628274, since I'm blocking it and you can barely see it. Thank you.
So what I wanted to do was to call your attention to the the 7 properties that we need to auction. And they are in this list. There are 2 of them.
Just to clarify before you go through this list, I don't know if you're gonna read out the addresses, but I just wanted you to clarify what it says in the law
Oh,
about publishing,
These
the
properties, yeah, these properties have all been identified not only by address and parcel ID, but also published in the newspaper as they were being foreclosed was the name of the owner and the owner's mailing address, which in some instances is different than the address of the property, the location of the property. So, for
And
example.
is that required by state law?
That is required by statute, it's in real property tax law, under the enforcement of, uniform enforcement of delinquent taxes. That's Article 11, real property tax law. So these properties have been identified in the newspaper. Now, there was a time when they were also identified when we filed the liens. That wasn't required any longer when we filed the liens, so the publication of the properties in the paper was not required at that time. So we don't do it when we file the liens, but we are required to do it when we do the foreclosure. So all of these properties have been in the paper, not only by the parcel ID, but also the address, the name of the owner, and the mailing address of the owner. If anybody wants the list, right now, I didn't make it part of the slide presentation, because of, the fact that we haven't had an opportunity yet to look at them. However, they will all be on my website with a packet of papers that can be downloaded for each property, so that if people are interested in bidding on them, they wouldn't have to come into the town, go to the planning board, go to the assessor's office, and pay 25 cents a page. They will all be available on the town's website, on the Receiver of Taxes page. We will have a separate page for the auction. All of the properties that will be auctioned will be available there. You would then see every property and be able to download everything that you wanted. Also available will be the conditions of sale and the information on how to become a qualified bidder. I actually think that I'll reserve that information for later, because what I'd like to do is just go through the properties and tell you that 2 of them, the board has been approached. The one on the bottom of page 2, there is a potential sale, and that they have approached the board and with a letter that the property could be sold with a potential closing date on July 8th. And the other one is on the last page, and that particular one, they have not written the letter yet to the board because they don't have a signed contract. There is a signed contract on the first one. Now, it's my understanding that, and this is a question for legal counsel, that if we want to auction these, we have to put all 7 in, and then if the board does approve the sale, they can be withdrawn. But if we don't put them in, then we can't auction them.
So if for some reason something happened and the contract fell through or
Right.
we wouldn't be able to auction them, so we're keeping them
So
in
I
the lineup until.
I would think that, especially since the last one here is one from the 2014 foreclosure. I mean, that one, we've already had a year, and there were several properties last year that we held off doing the auction because there were a lot that were being dealt with and people were paying, and so we held off. But this year, I think it's imperative to move these forward so that we're not holding them on.
I would agree with that approach. I mean, there's no reason to put yourselves in the position of potentially having to hold on to these properties for another year. You can always adopt an amended resolution later on.
Also, we did have the occasion where, with that 94 State Street property, there was a federal lien on that got placed on the property after we had started our foreclosure. You know, when we do our title search, I was very careful to explain how the attorney's office makes a list of every property with a financial, every person with a financial interest in a property, and every one of them has to be served. Well, that includes properties that have a state income tax lien, a county nursing home lien, a Department of Social Services lien, and a federal income tax lien. But what happened with that particular property was that we did our title search, the liens weren't on there. Now, we had a prior lis pendens in that when we started our foreclosure, we already had a notice, a lis pendens on the property. The federal government filed a federal income tax lien. Then we got our judgment. When I went to auction, I do another a continuation title search, and we discovered the federal lien. So it didn't sell at auction in 2014, because what happened was the people who did their own due diligence found the federal lien and said, okay, we're not gonna pay the income tax, and they didn't want, so we had no bidders on that property. So we had to serve the federal government and do another foreclosure on it again. And in that intervening time, there was a fire in the building, and we didn't recoup. So I think the quicker we can auction, the better it is. So these are the properties, the 7 properties, these are the amounts. A resolution would need to be done for the board's meeting, and you would need to pass that. Then I have requirements to get that legal notice posted. I think it's two or three publications, and we could clarify that.
Yeah, we'll look into that.
And then I would have the advertisements done, I would have the information on the website, and then we would have the auction August 10th. Are there any questions?
No, you're thorough.
I just gotta ask one, 27, that's next door to 29, right down on. Wasn't that lady paying the taxes at one point?
Yes, but she stopped
Yeah, because
because
she's had so much family
there was a
disputes.
lot, well, that property was in court, and there were disputes because the person who owned it died without a will. And so she stopped paying.
That isn't one of the ones that they thought they were gonna go into contract? For some reason I thought it was.
27 Sequel?
No?
No.
You brought that- you just brought
No,
that to me.
there was an answer filed in court on that with the reason that they had a sale. However, the answer was filed in court a full year after we already had a judgment. So it was useless, we already had a judgment on it.
Okay, one of, Hunter Street lot, now what is that, has, there's no number, just,
No, there's no number on vacant land. That's a piece of vacant land that has been in my foreclosure, every 3 years.
That has no access, correct?
It's a very narrow sliver of property on Hunter Street.
Okay, I thought that was the one behind another property with no access.
oh no,
No, that's the one, that was Priestley Street,
Oh, okay. Thank
and
you.
that one did sell. So the Hunter Street, is it buildable? Is it hilly?
Isn't that the way you have to go in by the old building up there and go down?
You know, I couldn't tell where it was, because all I have is a map that outlines it, but when I got out there and looked, I couldn't tell exactly where it was. I think it might be hilly.
I think we figured out where it was, and it's hilly and probably very difficult to build on. It's narrow, it's very narrow.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
a question.
The owner of that one did come in and pay the village during the village foreclosure, but hasn't approached to pay us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so at this point, I would like to request that we have, take a few moments in light of this discussion to consult with counsel about the status of the law and certain legal procedures regarding one of the foreclosures.
Oh, one thing more, I'm sorry, but Gloria, 94 State Street, isn't that sold?
Yes, it's not in
Oh.
this. No,
No, I'm looking, I see it
it's
here.
already sold, it's not in here. But that one was kind of like a lesson learned,
Yeah, I know
yeah.
about that.
Oh.
Because I see them working up there, that's why.
Yeah, it was on the front page. No.
Yeah, that's right here, on the front page. The one she said,
It's here, right?
Okay, I see. Okay. So, as I said, I'd like to request, yeah, you're exiting?
Yes.
Yes, okay,
Would you like
thank
to
you.
come back?
Thank
No,
you.
I think we're
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And-
Thank you for that presentation.
And we'll just ask the
Thank
public
you.
if they could step
Thank you.
out for a few minutes. And Matt, we're just gonna ask you if you could turn the camera off for a couple minutes and step out, and then we're gonna have you come back, okay? Thanks. Thank you. Thank you, Gloria.
Bye,
Bye,
thank you.
have a good night.
Good night.
Just don't shut it off all the way, just pause, whatever you do. We're back on camera, and thank you, we just had a short time off camera for some legal counsel. And I'm going to now turn the meeting over to our legal counsel, Christy Adana, to just take us through our next part of the discussion on foreclosures.
Yes, so earlier this evening, you heard a presentation from the receiver of taxes regarding delinquent tax issues in the foreclosure process. In connection with that, just today, the board received a letter regarding a property owner who has been delinquent in taxes and will be about to be going into the foreclosure proceeding, requesting a payment plan, an installment payment plan. This is not the first time the property owner has requested or received a payment plan and has had several delinquencies in their payments over the years. And so this board initially decided not to consider the request and advised the property owner of such. And the property owner has reiterated that same request. And so we just had a brief discussion about the status of the law and what the town board's legal obligations are. And so it has been recommended that the board reconsider potentially agreeing to this and entering into a payment plan with the property owner. But the board does have a certain amount of discretion in how it wants to handle that. The statute, the state statute, the RPTL, and the town code do govern this. And they put certain maximum timeframes and payment frequency requirements on it, but they do not put any minimum timeframes on. And they also do not appear to require that even if a property owner has entered into an installment plan, that they be removed from the foreclosure proceeding. And so in light of that, I think this board was going to take the opportunity to discuss how it would like to proceed. And then we can, the board, if it felt comfortable and had reached a consensus on what it thought the best approach was, you could direct counsel, myself, to prepare a resolution for adoption at your town board meeting next week with respect to how you would like the receiver of taxes to proceed.
Okay, so in light of that this is a perpetually delinquent taxpayer for some time.
I believe she received her first installment plan in 2010, and I believe those taxes went back to 2008.
Okay, and I think that, and then subsequent to the plan, the person was not, once again, not paying timely.
Pretty much as soon as she made the last payment, this information I received from the receiver of taxes. My understanding is that as soon as she made the final payment under the previous payment plan in mid-2011, which payments were not timely in accordance with the agreement that had been entered into. There were no payments that were made for, I believe, 2.5 years until she was back in foreclosure and then redeemed the property almost at the last minute, and then went back into delinquency, and it's the 2014 taxes that are the subject of this current foreclosure proceeding.
And so in light of that, initially, the receiver of taxes had made a recommendation not to entertain this payment plan on this particular lien. And I think that we agreed not to entertain that. And that's why we're being asked to once again reconsider. And I think that because of that, the best thing would be if we were to require that the payment plan would be done in a timely fashion, presumably completed by February 2017, when the foreclosure judgment would be rendered. So it would need to come before that time. So if the payment plan wasn't held to, then that foreclosure could still go through. So I think if that's something that the board is in favor of, that's how we would direct the receiver of taxes to move forward, and that's how we direct the resolution to be drafted for our next week's regular meeting.
I want to say I agree with that. I want to just reiterate what the town supervisor has said, what our council has said and I'll speak for me, but I'm pretty sure the board agrees. We always want to give people a second chance. We always want to give people as many, chances to stay in their home or own their land. It's something integral to this country. However, as legal counsel has stated, and the receiver of taxes has informed us, this has been going on for a very long time. And unfortunately, when other people don't pay their taxes, it falls on the rest of us to do so. And if you utilize foreclosure as your, savings account to then pay it, that becomes a burden for the taxpayers, the rest of the taxpayers, and the town. And so for those reasons, I think we agreed that we were not interested at that time after so many years and so many times that we were not going to. At this point, I agree with recommendation due to, following laws. And I agree with the prior to February 2017 payoff of this installment plan.
And I appreciate you making the point to Councilwoman, because I do think that it's important to know that we have certainly worked with this person before and for many years and tried to make it work. Part of the idea with the payment plan is not to really look for a new payment plan for your taxes on a regular basis. And I think that's why I don't think we'd ever been approached for a second payment plan before, at least not this receiver of taxes. This may have been the first time. And again, when it starts to become looking like this is the way that you're going to achieve payment, then we start questioning. So again, if we're required to do this by the law, then what we'd like to do is make sure that it's done in a timely fashion and recommend that by February 2017. Is there any other?
And continue it in foreclosure.
And then
And
you could continue to pay until a time that it would be foreclosed.
Well, yeah, that's when February 2017 would be,
Yeah.
so it would give her I believe it's the enforcement officer, which in this case is the receiver of taxes, would have the option discretionarily to remove this property from the foreclosure proceeding in light of the existence of an installment payment plan. It does not appear to be required under the law, and given that discretion, the board could certainly make that the recommendation that as part of any agreement, there would be an installment plan, but implicitly or explicitly, it would have to be finalized, the terms would have to end by that time, otherwise it's fruitless.
Anybody? so I think that we'll just draft that resolution.
Yes, we'll draft a resolution for the board to review in advance of the meeting next week, and then it can be on the agenda to be voted on at the meeting.
Thank you. All right, so thank you all for that thorough discussion. And now we're going to go to item number 3, which is the proposal for the updated town policy handbook through Bon Shinnick. And I think actually there's one thing I didn't mention, 2 things that I didn't mention. Did I mention the HASCOM policy in my announcements, and I did mention the meeting schedule. So we'll just one more thing. And I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Maddie Zahash to discuss the proposal from Bon Shinnick as well as the HASCOM policy.
Okay, thank you. Both of these agenda items will be relatively quick. The first one is something, as the supervisor mentioned when she was sort of describing the meeting, some of our town policies certainly need a refresher. So we had actually asked our labor council if he could recommend a firm who would be willing to take that on for us, that we could request some proposals. And he actually said, oh, we can do that for you. We do this kind of thing all the time. He quoted us a price that the supervisor thought would be very competitive. So if the town board is comfortable, I mean, certainly we're comfortable with the firm's work. We know that they do a good job, and we really can hold them to what they promise to deliver. So I would like, if the board agrees, to go ahead and authorize Bon Shinnick to start that process for us. We thought this would be a good summer project to just get this all ready to go, so that when we have our next round of employees coming in, whenever that may be, that we have a nice fresh policy handbook that we can hand to them and know everything is up to date and fully in compliance with New York State and federal regulations.
That was $2,500.
$2,500.
Sounds good.
Sounds worth it.
I think it's a
Okay.
reasonable price. Fantastic. That was
Okay.
very quick. I think.
Very quick. And so sort of bouncing off of that, one of the policies that we have been discussing for the last couple of months is something that goes by a couple different names. One is HAZWOPER, but what we're gonna call it is HAZCOM, so it's Hazard Communications. And basically what's required is for every department in the town to have a procedure to inform employees about what kinds of chemicals that they're being exposed to on a daily basis. So when you've walked through our highway department, if you've gone for a visit, or the cemetery, you've seen those really big yellow binders that say SDS, it's safety data sheets. So we are putting together a policy for each individual department to have not only a policy to follow about how to keep those records, but also making sure to name all the contacts.
Who's responsible?
Right,
for
who's
making
responsible for maintaining those logs, and then finding the contact so that if you do have a problem, you know which emergency services to call. So the superintendent of highways actually spearheaded this, and he put together a program for his department, and then we kind of used that to create one for each other department. I can pass to you, I printed out the one that he did for the town supervisor's office, and then one for the highway department, just so you can kind of leaf through it. I can certainly email them out. I'm sorry for the late breaking item, but we just wanted to make sure that we could get this on the agenda for Tuesday to officially adopt the policy so that we have it and we're covered. So I can pass these down if anyone wants to take a look. They're fairly similar from department to department, but like I said, it changes the contact and who's responsible in each department
And
Just
as
to
well.
do you just
clarify,
for-
yes, and this is why, we're talking about toner, whiteout.
For real right now?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely,
Wait,
that's what
wait.
we're talking about, yes.
There
'cause-
needs to be a policy on what happens
Yeah.
on the fact that we use toner and whiteout?
Yeah, okay, so it's not the policy that we use those things, it's
We
that,
have to-
that there are chemicals that
Yeah.
people may have reactions to, that we need to keep a sheet to know, to identify what chemicals somebody may be exposed to in their day-to-day work.
Really?
Yes, truly and honestly.
Really?
Yes.
I can't.
The
honestly.
guidance
See,
that we've
I
gotten
just-
is
I
if
just
you
can't.
order 1 tube of whiteout, say, you don't have to keep a safety data sheet for that. This is what we've heard from our workers' comp company. But if you order a case of whiteout, or like a 3-pack, anything that's more than the average person would have in their household, that's sort of the parameter that they give us. If it's anything more than the average person would have in their household, you have to have a safety data sheet for it on
You
hand.
do understand that there are private laws, private firms, private offices, private buildings, other municipalities, like government offices that don't have to have this.
This is,
we have to
the way that
practice.
these regulations are done, this is a relatively new change to them. They used to be called material safety data sheets, now they're just called safety data sheets. So the program's been changing. They also have something called global harmonization, which I think you may have seen it before. It's the 9 different pictures to show you what particular hazard is present in that chemical. So one of them has sort of like a test tube, so that's, you know, to let you know something's corrosive.
Right.
So there's different indications, and so that global harmonization is the new program, and that's what they're trying to educate everyone about through this
I'm
process.
not-
Where did this come from?
PESH,
Who?
Public Employee Safety.
And OSHA, yeah.
I mean, I understand,
That's just
I
OSHA
understand
for
the
public.
department of, the highway department, and you know, but we're talking about like the assessor's office or the receiver of
Uh-huh.
taxes where
Yeah.
there's toner and white.
Correct.
White.
Again, if they order it, then whoever you order it from is supposed to supply you with the sheet that identifies whatever chemicals, hazardous chemicals might be
In the
there.
whiteout.
In the whiteout.
Including cleaning solutions.
Right.
You know, bleach,
In the receiver of taxers office?
they don't clean in there?
No, but they may have like, again, they
No,
have.
the cleaning people do, or maybe.
Yeah,
You know.
it's, I mean, for this particular building, and it's different for every site, right? I mean, it depends on what kind of things you have in your particular office. I hear what you're saying, so for practical purposes, for most offices, it's gonna be just as the supervisor mentioned. Toner, whiteout, Windex, maybe, like, you know, screen cleaner, something like that. So it shouldn't be too heavy of a lift for the offices, but I will tell you, the cemetery, the parks, and the highway department have been doing this since forever.
And that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble with the Windex and the whiteout and the toner.
Actually, I mean, honestly, our nutrition program probably has stuff too.
Mhm.
I'm guessing.
They have a binder also.
Right.
And also part of the program is they have to keep all of the old material safety data sheets because you have to keep it for the lifetime of employee, which is 50 years plus an additional 10 years. I don't remember exactly what the numbers are. But so that in the event that someone has some sort of a long-term health problem, that they're able to go back and look at the log of what was there while they
And
were
the
working.
whiteout and the toner and the Windex.
Okay. Anyway, so that's what we're gonna be taking out to be in compliance, and here it says OSHA, so,
Yes.
I think the standard is actually an OSHA standard,
Right.
so we can check the wording a little bit, but like I said, I still wanna work with Michael G about this just to tone it up a little bit more. But we wanted,
No pun.
tone it, oh, sorry. But we wanted everyone to just, you know, see what we were talking about, so that it could come as a surprise on Tuesday night on the agenda, but we'll certainly send out the updated ones for each department, by Friday.
And you know, the way the world is going today, everybody's ready to sue about anything,
mhm.
anything, you can say something. And it's
It's
a
just
lawsuit.
science.
So why not, go ahead, write it
It
up.
doesn't make it, see, that doesn't mean it makes sense.
Okay.
So just
I'm
get it on
used
there.
to it
Is
from
everybody
working
okay
in
with
the
that?
health
Okay,
field, so.
and now,
Okay.
Every single
town
thing.
board summer meeting too.
Yep, and then this is the last thing, and it's pretty succinct. So, someone had asked if we were considering doing a more condensed meeting schedule during the summer months, because people are away. Not only town board members are away, but a lot of our residents are away. So we were going to float the idea of skipping the work sessions. So it would be the town hall meeting scheduled for July 5th would be skipped. The work session scheduled for July 19th would be skipped. The work session for August 2nd would be skipped. The town hall meeting for August 16th would be skipped. And then the 5th Tuesday, which we would likely skip anyway, August 30th. And so the way that the legislative meetings would work is we would have, we've done something similar when we have a special meeting after or before our work session. So we would have a quick meeting to pass any pressing business, to pay bills, and then go into a work session. So it might be a slightly lengthier meeting than what we're used to, but at least it'll be every 2 weeks instead of every week.
My concern with that is, this is the same time we're trying to enact a moratorium and really look at our codes and our, everything we wanna do, and we don't wanna hold that up longer than we need to.
So,
I think at this time, we're waiting for FP Clark to deliver on, I believe he said it was 5 weeks, so I think it's probably been 2 weeks since he got the marching orders to get going. And then also, I know that there had been a question about having the public hearing on the moratorium and so on. So we could perhaps keep the public hearings open for longer than just one meeting, if need be.
okay,
So I think at this time, we're waiting for FP Clark to deliver on, I believe he said it was 5 weeks, so I think it's probably been 2 weeks since he got the marching orders to get going. And then also, I know that there had been a question about having the public hearings open for longer than just one meeting, if need be.
I just wanna make sure we have time to really look into each item and the public has time to comment.
We have time because we will make the time.
Yeah, and we can also just, we could try to do our best to condense the regular meeting down and keep that abbreviated and have a longer work session. Like, basically gonna have a double up, so have a work session and regular meeting in one night.
Okay, I just wanna make sure we have enough time to thoroughly address these situations.
Yeah, and like Maddie said, the public hearing on the moratorium is scheduled for next week, so, you'll probably want some time to digest what was said, and there may be other issues that we have to look into, and, the consultants and council can obviously work on that in the interim, and then if you need to discuss it at one of the work sessions that happens on the same day as the meeting, that can certainly be arranged, but, if the board were ready to move on something or needed some information, I don't know that a lack of work session would inhibit your ability to do so.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, we can always add more work session time to a regular meeting if we need to, and try to condense the regular meeting.
Maddie, would you just mind sending out the dates, because I didn't.
Of course.
Me too. I think
Yep, and I think, if everyone agrees, I think we'd probably like to post them on the website and send out a
Yes.
web blast, just so everyone is cognizant.
Yeah, so why don't we
Absolutely.
send it out and then we can do a final agreement maybe at the next meeting, we don't have to vote on it, but just
You could do a resolution if you wanted to.
a nod that we're gonna change the schedule.
And when
I
you,
don't think we have to do
wait,
it.
No.
when you take me a visit,
I'll put together our schedule, yes.
Okay, great, so consider that, and, I think that Councilwoman Vittori might have had an extra announcement, and so do
I do have an extra announcement.
Okay.
With all our talk about affordable housing and availability of housing, I just want to make sure everybody knows that on Thursday at 9 a.m., IFCA will be accepting applications for the affordable units. There are currently 9 affordable units available at Harbor Square, 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. That's the building down by the river that you see right by the train station. If you would like to apply and you're interested, please go to the IFCA website, ifcany.org, or the village website. You can also get an application there. You can download the applications, you can fill out the applications, there's some paperwork required, but you cannot submit the application until 9 a.m. on Thursday, June 23rd. At that time, we will be receiving them in person in the office. You can drop it off, you can fax it, you can mail it, you can email it. But that's when we will start receiving, and we will be qualifying the applications, and applicants will be selected on a first come, first serve based on qualifying. And that is my announcement. Thank you.
No, wait till next week.
Okay, and
are you
I,
doing the whole building or just the, I forgot.
Just that,
Just the
there's,
affordable housing.
just the affordable housing, so there's
Okay.
9 units that are available now, and as the building continues to be completed, they're still working on parts of it. 10 more units will become available before the end of the year, and we'll be doing, so it's 19 units in total.
Okay.
there's just 2 other announcements that I neglected to mention. Also, for HVAC, solar, and electric contractors, there's going to be a contractor training that Con Ed will be hosting through Energize New York on June 22nd in Tarrytown. You can get in touch with our office for more information, and we can get that to you because I don't have all the details right here. And the next, next Energize New York financing and Austin is the Pines at Bethel, so that's exciting. And then I wanted to also mention that this week, June 20th to 26th, has been proclaimed Pollinator Awareness Week in New York State, with several events highlighting the importance of key species such as bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds to the state's environment and the agricultural economy. And as part of the national celebration, Governor Cuomo signed a proclamation commemorating the week and affirming that New York is committed to the promotion of the health and recovery of the pollinator population, which is the focus of a state agency task force. So just wanted everybody to know that this is the week to celebrate the bees and the butterflies.
And the birds and the bees. Birds and bees.
Let's just keep it to bees and butterflies, okay? With, graduation, and we're very excited about all of our newly graduated and newly moving up, and I think that Briarcliff has graduation this weekend. We're very excited for Briarcliff graduates as well, and look forward to a wonderful summer. And without further ado, I wish everybody a great evening and a great week. We'll see you next week, and don't forget about the planning board meeting tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. at the community center.